pregame, which means this is when I stream before my Sunday game. Even though I still got some stuff I need to do, I'm taking a break. Been a little bit of it's been a morning. Let's just say that. It's been a morning. My beautiful wife is cooking some delicious casserole, or as they would say up north, a hot dish. So that's going to be good. That'll be good. Chicken and veggies, hard to complain with that. I'm busy gluing heads onto orcs and having opinions. So let's go with my first hot takes. Gaming. Games Workshop suing Battletech over the Warhammer name is really dumb. And they didn't just sue Battletech, they sued like a ton of different channels online. They sued like No Guts, No Galaxy. What's up, Unscripted? How you doing, homie? It's been a minute. Well, not for me. I've seen you watching your videos and stuff. But so Games Workshop, in their ultimate brilliance, sues a bunch of web pages over the usage of the word Warhammer, even though the web pages in question were devoted to Battletech. And for those of you who don't know either, because maybe you're not interested in wargaming, the Warhammer is a 70-ton mech that has existed in Battletech for 40 years and was originally called a Tomahawk when it was a Robotech mech. It was a Destroid. What's up, Michael Stronghold? I am doing very well. Quickly, what's up, homie? I hope you're doing well. I know you're like way early over there in the UK, but have some tea and crumpets for me. Actually, I can't talk shit because I love Earl Grey tea, hot, no sugar, no milk either. But so it's not even a hot take to say that Games Workshop is obviously mentally retarded, because trying to sue No Guts, No Galaxy, I think Tex, all these guys, right, over usage of the word Warhammer, which they pulled on Arch Warhammer years ago. And he just bent the knee because he did the math and decided, wait a minute, I can win this, obviously, but it'll cost me $20,000 or something like that, right? Because, that's the legal system. Even when you win, you lose, right? What's up, James Lowry? But apparently they've dropped No Guts, No Galaxy, and a couple of channels have quietly been dropped, because I guess it's like Games Workshop. You would have thought when they hired lawyers to put out all of this bullshit that the lawyers would have been like, okay, Warhammer, let's look this up. And when they found out that the Warhammer has existed in Battletech for about 15 years before Warhammer 40K or any of that even existed, they would have been like, disowned me, you're allergic to tea. You know what? I do not ever drink sweet tea, and as a Southerner, that's just about enough to get banished from the Southern states. You know what I mean? People down, like when I used to have to make tea at the fire department, because as the new guy, my job every morning was to make at least 1 gallon of tea, right? And these guys, I shit you not, would put like a gallon of tea while it was hot, a cup of sugar and a gallon of tea. It's like you might as well just drink pancake syrup. But anyway, enough of that. Enough of, the whys and hows firefighters get diabetes. So yeah, that's just a funny little story of Games Workshop being idiots and trying to sue a company over the name of a mech that has been around far, far longer than their company. So, yeah, and here's the thing: they brought the suit in Florida against some of the guys that are in Florida here, right? I think No Guts, No Galaxy is in Florida. Florida has laws where if you bring a suit like this, you can be countersued, right? And the reason is you countersue the opposing lawyer for bringing such a frivolous suit, something he should have known. Like, you can't sue people for Warhammer because, uh, like I said, it's been around far, far longer than your company. Also, you can't sue people for using a proper noun anyway. A warhammer is a weapon of war, very commonly used in the early to late medieval period to defeat heavy armor. And dwarves love it in D&D, right? So whatever. So that's Games Workshop's hot take. The political hot take is Comey, the guy who put the text, you know, 8647, look at these shells, ha ha ha. And then now he's like, oh, I didn't know what it means. If for no other reason than that, he should go to jail. Even if they don't want to put him in jail for, basically making an implied threat against a sitting president. What's up, Brother George? They should put him in jail for lying, because there's absolutely no way in hell he didn't know what that meant. To 86 somebody, like, everyone knows what that means. In the military, everyone knows. If you've ever watched The Godfather, I mean, everybody knows. So the thing that offends me the most about that politically is not that necessarily he did it, which is a scummy thing for that scumbag to do, but who cares? He's a scumbag, right? It's that he's now trying to basically make the entire country out to be idiots, by being like, oh, I wasn't aware and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh God, how's this guy been in the FBI and whatnot for 30 years? I mean, you want to talk about making a person lose faith in their own institutions? I mean, really? You're going to try and tell me you didn't know what that meant? For real? I mean, no, that guy. I mean, they put Bannon in prison for 5 years. So let's go ahead and chuck him in. I mean, I'll be honest. This might be a hot take too. If they're up to me, I'd probably chuck all of them in. You know what I mean? But, I'm that guy. I'm pretty fed up with our institutions. And there's probably, if I were Kash Patel, I'd probably fire half at least of the FBI, at least half of them, maybe more, or I would assign them to Border Patrol and just stick their asses on a board. Maybe I'd stick them somewhere between like Dakota and Saskatchewan or some shit. Just, so that way people couldn't be mad that I fired a bunch of people, but they would be in a position where they couldn't do any damage. Just get them assholes out of the way, right? It's like, oh man. I mean, it's funny, but it shouldn't be, right? It shouldn't be funny, because it's like, so the former head of our FBI, angry man who got fired for being a douchebag, is talking about taking the president out. I mean, it's like, I'm a huge fan of free speech and all that. One of the things me and some of my British brothers get into it about is the free speech issue. But even our constitutional First Amendment says you cannot incite violence. And it also says that you cannot, talk shit trying to get presidents killed and stuff like that. I mean, those are on the no-go lists. Like, I could stand on a street corner and talk all the shit I want about somebody's religion, science, whatever I want, political stuff. If I want to stand on the corner and yell slurs at people, I could do it. Of course, I live in Florida, so that might not be safe because, might end up catching a couple of freedom pellets from somebody if I'm a little bit out of pocket. But the point is, those are all legal things to do. But, inciting violence or calling for the assassination of somebody, that is not ever legal in the First Amendment. So, yeah, this guy is cooked. But allergic to tea, though, I keep seeing that. Lee, my eyes keep focusing back on that. And I'm just like, I love nothing better than a good gallon of black tea. You know what I'm saying? And I'll drink it cold, unsweet, nothing in it. Maybe a little lime or lemon juice, maybe. Freedom pellets, yes, that is one of our sly American ways of getting around YouTube being full of shit. So, freedom pellets, you know what they are. Chomp, chomp. What is up, shark? Sharks in the water, guys. And unfortunately, I don't go into the ocean. So, if any of you get in trouble with riptides or sharks, you're on your own. I learned at a very young age when my mom traumatized me by letting me watch Jaws when I was like 7 years old that I am never going into the ocean, no deeper than maybe mid calf. And I don't. You know what I mean? Now, some people might say my mom was very cruel. Other people might say that she was actually preparing me to not get ate by sharks. And personally, yeah. Like when I go fishing on the coast and I see those people wanting to swim out to the freaking buoys and shit like that, I'm always like, nope, not me. You live in the shark bite capital of the world and you want to go out there. Of course, we're not the shark bite fatality of the world. Usually down here, what happens, some idiot steps on a surf shark or something like that, a sand shark, and it takes a chunk out of them and then runs because they really don't want any problems, like little nurse shark or something like that. I think lethality of shark attacks is either South Africa or Australia. Yeah, Jaws is a classic, and I've since watched it as an older kid and thought, damn, that is an amazingly well done movie. And what's crazy about, not to be a cinemaphile, and again, not a hot take, but maybe, the fact that the robot shark broke down, I think is what made the movie good. Because it forced Steven Spielberg to film the movie in a way where you don't get to see the shark too much, but the implication of the shark is what's actually scary. Like when you see the shark eating the back of the boat and it chomps captain, whatever. That's not scary. That's not scary. But all of the underwater and the dun dun dun, that music, and and you just see legs. That's scary. That's some scary shit. Because your imagination is just going nuts, right? Like, oh my god. But that's Lovecraft wrote at length about what makes something scary is, of course, it's not what you see, it's what you don't. And that goes with this quote, one of the oldest emotions of mankind is fear, and of that fear, the most potent is, he's Yeah, with the stupid plaid suit on, tweed suit. No, we got to let people in the water. Otherwise, the tourist season will be all screwed up. Meanwhile, people are getting ate. It's like, calm down, buddy. You need to ease up. I mean, What's funny is the shark in Jaws is not so much bigger than some sharks we've actually encountered now. Like that one female white shark that I think it was off of Australia. I think, I could be wrong. Somebody, but the big female white shark, great white, named Deep Blue, that thing's like 30 feet long almost. So, I mean, the shark in Jaws, I think, was 32 feet. So there are some, Alien did it well. Yes, Alien did it very well. It Alien is what it is. It's somebody said, you know what'd be cool? Let's take a haunted house, but instead of a slasher like, Mike Myers or something, let's make it a crazy alien thing based on art from one of the most perverted minds in history. And then let's put it in space. You know, that was like that would had to have been the elevator pitch. You know what I mean? We're gonna make a slasher slash scary house movie, but it's gonna be in space, dude, and it's gonna have aliens based on H.R. Geiger, who is one of the most effed up in the head artists of all time. What do you think? And they're like, yeah, it sounds great. And they're like, okay, we need this Ripley character. He's a hardworking guy that works as a mechanic or whatever. And then the casting director is like, cool, how about a 6 foot tall woman named Sigourney Weaver? And the guy's like, yeah, sure. I mean, let's do it. And boom, the rest is history, guys. It's funny you mentioned aliens because I don't know if you were here yesterday, Lee, but I got the box, The Heroes of Hadley's Hope, and which is all the guys from Aliens, the second movie, which is one of my favorite action films of all time. Yep. And what's really cool is it actually lets you know something I didn't know, like the first name of all the characters. But Bear told me their first names were their real life first names. So Hudson, which was, of course, Bill Paxton's character, is Private William L. Hudson. So, yeah. But it's got all of them. It's got Spunkmeyer, Farrell, Burke, Newt, Trevor Wierzbowski, Tim Crow. Yeah, I was surprised when I found out that Vasquez's name was Jeanette. Jeanette Vasquez. And her buddy was Private Mark Drake. I always liked those two, even though Drake got taken out. Funny Island is Amityville in Jaws. Then we get Amityville. You're right. Spaceships make great boxes for Monster Inside the Box movie. Yeah, because, I mean, where are you going to go? I mean, that makes sense. It's like, there is a monster in here. Where are you going to go? You know where you're going to go? Nowhere. To quote one of the best movies of all time, Boondock Saints. That's where you're going. Do you know why I know so much about that kind of stuff, guys? Because I'm an expert in nameology. I love that movie. Friggin' such a well acted movie. Very independent film. It's like if you haven't seen Boondock Saints, guys, write it down on a notepad. Watch Boondock Saints, the first one at least. And the other one that you have to watch if you haven't watched, it's a very independent film. is Suicide Kings, which stars Christopher Walken, and actually it's tons of people. I have no problem, Shark, with separating Sigourney Weaver from Ellen Ripley. To me, it's Ellen Ripley. I don't give a shit about Sigourney Weaver. I'm an expert in my own opinion. Well, no, what I'm saying, that was a thing because what's his name? The guy that played the Green Goblin. He's like in everything. I too am somewhat of a scientist. That guy, he was in The Lighthouse, an amazing movie, guys. The Lighthouse, amazing. My wife wasn't so fond on it. I thought it was amazing. Plus, it does something I didn't think was possible. It shows that that kid from Twilight can actually act if you put him in a movie, where he has to act. You know what I mean? Though it might weird some people out because it's a black and white film made in, the last couple of years, but good movie. Another great movie, Cold Skin. Cold Skin. Great movie. You guys might be seeing a theme here, but in this movie, the FBI director, played by William Dafoe, he gets this Greek guy's name right. Yeah, the Greek guy's like, so what's with the pennies on the eyes? Is that some sort of symbology? And Defoe's character is like, symbolism. And then he says his name, Officer Karamia Keikos. And the guy's like, damn, you're the first person who ever got my name right. And Defoe's like, that's because I'm an expert in nameology. And it's just like, he's such an asshole in the movie, but he's good at being an asshole in that movie. What's up there, Leth? How you doing, brother?
I'm good.
How you hanging out?
Oh, good. Just yesterday when you were streaming, I was playing a game.
Oh, what game?
That was the White Wolf one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we got a new player in it.
Yeah, I haven't been streaming near as much. I'm slowing it down a little bit. I need to get back actually making videos.
Regular videos.
Yeah, about things instead of. But here's the thing: is I'm kind of lazy by nature.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that too.
And streaming is so easy because you just hit the button and just start talking shit.
Start talking. Yes.
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver, back when she was in her prime, was definitely absolutely beautiful. I will agree with that, Shark.
It was fun to watch.
Like in her movie, one of her best, most fun roles ever is probably Galaxy Quest.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole movie, all she does is repeat what the computer says.
That's her job.
That's her job. Yeah. It's like the computer says something and she says, Captain, and says the same exact thing.
They also censored her in that movie.
Why, her boobs?
No. It was one thing she said.
What?
See, she was supposed to say, well, screw, when she says, well, screw this, it was supposed to be the F-bomb.
Ah, well, it didn't make the movie worse for me.
I know, but you can actually see where she said it, and it's like obvious that she didn't say, well, screw this.
I never noticed. So.
Fair.
But I mean, I wasn't paying attention, so whatever. But Year of Living. I mean, yeah, she's definitely a good-looking woman, like 6 foot tall, which is, nice, I guess. But I honestly am happy to say I don't know her politics. Now, if you say she's a crazy lefty, then I won't disagree with you because I don't know. And
separate the art from the artist.
And it doesn't change the fact that she was badass in Aliens.
Yeah.
And,
fun to watch
and that's what I care about,
All the characters in that was actually kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, there wasn't a bad character in the Aliens show. I mean, my favorite, of course,
I
is
was talking
probably
about Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest 2. Yeah. My favorite in Aliens, though, and I think this, I don't know, guys, there's a few of you in chat. Tell me if I'm wrong, but Hudson. What am I the only one who thought Hudson was like the best character?
I don't remember. I can't remember the names of the
That was
characters.
Bill Paxton's character. The
That
one that was
doesn't.
like, game over, man.
Okay, yeah, that's a
Game
lot of
over.
people's favorite. That, to be fair, that's the one that most people talk about because I remember hearing "Game over, man, game over."
Well, one, because Bill Paxton is awesome. Just straight up, he's awesome. Like in almost everything. Like when he plays the vampire in that one movie, Near Dawn or whatever. Oh my God, so good. He's the only reason I could sit through Twister. Because
Twister.
yeah, and also like when he leaves the hot Southern chick for the blonde chick, and I'm like, why would you do that?
Well, apparently,
that brunette's.
Hey James. Apparently, yesterday or the other day, we had problems with Twisters.
Yes, I know. I talked to my my mom, but she's way up in the mountains, so it ripped the shit out of Somerset. Apparently,
Yeah.
just ripped it to shit. But where my mom is, they didn't even notice. You don't get a lot of tornadoes on mountains.
No.
Something about the slopes make it hard for them. So, yeah, Hudson, he was. I mean, from the second the pods open up and they come out suspended animation, Hudson is just hilarious to watch. You know, him and his interaction with Sergeant Apone and shit like that. Hudson, get over here. Get over here. You know, I mean, all that shit. You know, how do I get out of this chicken shit outfit and all that shit? I mean, he really was good. And he went out like a total G, too. When the aliens were coming through the ceiling, Hudson was like, okay, time to get it. You know what I mean? And he went out. The actor of Biff. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you act like a tree and get out of here?
Right. Well, that's speaking of movies and bullies, Bill Paxton was the bully in Weird Science. That got turned into a giant slimy toad monster. So, yeah. Yeah. He's been in a lot of good movies. Oh, guy kept cracking him up. Chicago. I mean, I'll tell you, it's that time of year. I mean, I don't know if you guys watch the Wear Channel or not. I know I don't, but I mean, are we having one of those, what do they call it? Spanish name? Is it one of those years? What's it called? Come on, help me out, Left.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's got a Spanish name and it F's up freaking the weather really bad.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry. One of you guys out there knows what I'm talking about. It's like something that happens every however long in the Atlantic, and it's got a Spanish name, El Nino. El Nino.
El Nino.
Which I think just means the baby.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I've
always heard
Nino,
like Atlantic
I'm pretty sure
like
baby. Yeah, El Nino. There you go, George. George got it right. And something about the El Nino winds and shit. Just, it's like whatever you thought was going to happen, go ahead and throw that shit in the garbage can. Because
for the Atlantic, I always heard it called like tsunami.
No, tsunamis happen in Pacific. Hurricanes happen in
Pacific. Yeah, I was thinking
Hicks.
Pacific.
Yeah, Hicks is a good character, and he was also in Terminator. He's been in a few movies and he was good in them. I liked him. Hicks was a great character. Hudson, to me, though, was just the one I liked to watch the most. Max Velocity. He covers all the tornadoes kicking off. Oh, nice. Yeah, my wife has some weird fascination with tornadoes.
I was never.
Oh, it was near dark, not near dusk. Okay, near dark. Yeah, the you guys all know the scene in Near Dark when they go into the bar. That shit is insane. It's just like, and Bill Paxton is just so, you know what I mean? Just so evil. Kind of funny, but still really evil. It's like, damn, you know? That is a good take on vampires. It really was, you know? That is a pretty good take. There've been some good ones and not so good ones. But that was a pretty good one. But Ryan Hall, y'all. Yep. It's named that because it starts around Christmas, huh? Yeah, I don't see tornadoes are weird because you know, despite what they would have you see in freaking Twister and all that shit, we still have no idea what the hell's going on. We know that cold air and hot air hit together and boom, possibly a tornado, possibly not. You know, it's like, what are the odds? No one really knows. I have seen a couple episodes of Big Love. Yes. Yeah. Some wild shit, man. Those guys. A lot of those guys are getting in trouble because what they do is you'll have a man in that church. He'll marry like 9 women, let's say. And then legally, he's only married to the first one, but he has kids with all of them. So the 8 that aren't legally married all apply for welfare and food stamps and everything like that. And yeah, the government's starting to be like, nah, we're not doing this. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, if you go and marry 8 women, marry them if you can support them. I don't condone it. I don't think it's right, but you know, this weird playing the system and you know, now the Mormons that I grew up with here in Deseret Ranch that I lived around, they weren't into polygamy and all that shit, but they all had 11 kids at least. It seemed like they had a ton of kids, those guys. But yeah, Bill Paxton was just a great actor, and I'm excited because my wife bought me the basically Space Hulk version of Alien. You know, you put tiles down and aliens spawn in. And it come with some of it. It basically just came with like generic Marines. So I wanted to get this because I wanted to be able to play Hudson or Hicks. And it's my experience from building all the aliens and everything from the last one is these guys are easy to build and pretty fun to paint if you're pretty good at painting camouflage patterns. You know, they're pretty good to paint. Like Hudson's got he's got the M98 or whatever it is, assault rifle in one hand, and he's got the motion detector in the other one. It kind of looks like him too. Oh, they all got the names on the bases. That's cool. Like the Hudson base says Hudson on the base. That's cool. Yeah, that's something, Lee, I would agree with you on. It's like, you know, One of them can be a big enough pain in the ass. Why you would want more than one, I don't understand. But, you know, that shit only works in countries where, like, you know, people like actually are allowed to abuse their women and shit like that. I'd never work in a Western country at all. Because, I mean, you know, like maybe in some Arabic country, you can have 4 wives because if they talk any shit, you can always just have them stoned to death or something. But in a Western country, if you have 4 wives, you're just going to have 4 women bitching nonstop. Just nonstop. Yep. There's an old saying I heard once, Beelzebubba. Only women understand women, and they effing hate each other.
The M41A pulse rifle. That's the rifle.
Yeah, it fired like a 9mm long, and it also had a grenade launcher. Yeah. Cool weapon. They copy the shit out of it. Hey, Angry Tabletop Nerd, I finally got to catch your show today because my wife, for whatever reason, was feeling especially cruel and decided not to let me sleep in. So the bonus is I got to see your show. And Tabletop Nerd or Holy Diver, he was talking about the Warhammer thing too, which is, again, ridiculous. I mean, in the end, Harmony Gold sued FASA into the ground, but then the judge found that no one actually owned the license to those mechs. So the case was dismissed with prejudice, which means Harmony Gold can never resue. And that's why Catalyst can make those old school mechs again. But or before that, Iron Wind.
Not the funniest lawsuit I've ever seen.
Games Workshop trying to sue Arch Warhammer for having the Warhammer in his name.
That was stupid.
Yeah,
I was
stupid.
actually referring to the Civilization lawsuit.
What?
The Fire Axis got sued, or whatever they were actually called something else back then. They got sued for using the name Civilization by another company who got licensed from a British company who made a board game named Civilization.
I remember the board game Civilization. But
yeah, the video game Civilization. You know, the little the old.
Oh no, I love Civilization. Games. I mean, everybody loves Civilization.
They got sued for that by Hasbro, who got the license from the original company who owned it, the board game. So they actually went to England, bought the company. I was just like, okay, we moved to dismiss for the fact that we have the rights to the board game now.
Well, that's a smart way to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can't sue us if we own you.
If we own the parent company.
Yeah, Battletech is crazy, Holy Diver, but you would think that the attorneys that Games Workshop hired would not be so stupid.
Yeah, no.
You would think that they would have some clue about the history of Battletech and the Warhammer. But apparently, no, they didn't.
Every company does something stupid, like Nintendo right now suing Power World, the company that made Power World.
Well, you know, to be fair, Power World did kind of steal a lot of ideas that look very similar to Pokemon.
Yeah, they didn't sue on those things, though, which is weird. No, they sued on the weirdest patents that they got after the company came out with the game.
Also, don't you beat the monsters up and trap them in balls and carry them around and shit?
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that do that. That's Nintendo kind of ripped that off from other companies. It's actually true.
Crafting Gamer, what's up? We had Bloodworth in. We got, yeah, but that's see, Harmony Gold bought the rights to distribute Robotech in the United States from someone in Japan. So they sued FASA over the Robotech mechs, most of which were not Robotech. They were actually from a series called Dougram.
Yep.
And that shit went on so long that it basically bankrupted FASA. But in the end, it turned out that whoever had sold the rights to Harmony Gold to distribute those things didn't actually own the things. And then it turned out in Japan, no one knew who owned them because the artists, it was like the weirdest shit ever. And therefore, Harmony Gold basically they got taken too in a way. I mean, if you look at it, they paid somebody for the rights to a thing that person didn't have the rights to. So,
yeah, that seems to happen a bit sometimes.
Yeah, I hate that. I liked when you went to GameStop and you bought the box and it had like a DVD or a CD or something in it,
Or cart that actually has a game on it.
Right. And so, you would have your little collection of boxes, of whatever, and they were yours and you could play them forever. And like this, the other thing I really hate is you can't play the game unless you have an internet connection.
Oh, I know.
I hate that.
I went to the store, bought like Total War Shogun 2 on disc, and then couldn't play it because I didn't have internet at the time.
Yeah, and it's like,
why even sell it on a disc if I can't play it with the disc?
Well, the thing that I have to question here is, and again, since I'm doing my hot takes real quick, I don't believe that the game companies in question are losing so much money on people pirating their games that any of what they're doing is actually necessary. I think they're just being assholes, but they're trying to argue that we have to do this because people are pirating the game. And it's like, yeah, I don't believe that it's that big of a problem. I'm sorry. Plus, I mean, the Chinese and Russia and stuff like that, since they don't, acknowledge American copyright anyway, there's nothing you can do with them anyway. They're going to do what they're going to do, right? Yeah. So the only people who are actually being punished by this bullshit are the actual customers that bought the game with no ill intention at all. The floor hammer. Oh, you're not allowed to play on the kitchen table. When I was big into Warhammer, I would go to the local comic shop. Our local comic shop, I posted pictures of it in the Discord, has like 10 Warhammer tables. And on Saturdays, all the usual suspects meet there. So, Backpack Boy, the giant toddler, the guy who smells like he slept in a litter box the night before, and obviously lives with his mom who owns like 12 cats. The guy who has more money than brains, so every time the meta changes, he shows up with a new army. I love that guy, especially what happened with the squats when they came out, or whatever they're calling squats now. The whole, the guy who goes out and drops a shit ton of money on an army because he thinks it's going to be OP, and then it's day one that shit gets nerfed into the ground. And I'm just sitting over here with my blood angels being like, ha, dumbass.
Better to have a good team that's consistently good than something that's going to be really good for a short period of time. And
dude, I don't know. Maybe Holy Diver can share his, because he lives on the West Coast area, that region. But we have this issue here in the FLA, Flow Rida, where, yeah, about half of the serious players are meta chasers, you know? It's like as soon as a new army comes out, if that new army has any advantage at all, these guys will go ahead and drop $1,000 to have that new army.
No thanks.
And I'm all like, I have currently, I've said I have 7 or 8 Warhammer 40K armies, but I didn't buy them for the meta. I bought them slowly over time because, like one
them.
time, I was like, damn, those Armageddon Still Legion guys look badass. Never won a game with them, but that's besides the point.
It's probably why I'd be stuck with, like, you know, the Black Templars.
See, yeah, Black Templars, at least for a while, were good. That's the other thing Games Workshop does, is they swap up the meta because they know there's a lot of whales out there that as soon as you make anything better than some other thing, they're going. It's like on Holy Diver's show, he's talking about Saturnine Terminators, which the lore behind them is they were like the oldest Terminators, some of the oldest Terminators, right? If those Saturnine Terminators are even slightly better than the Tartarin or the what's the other one I got? The old ones, Tartarin, and anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm forgetting the name, and that's called. Then there'll be a bunch of idiots that drop the 10 Terminators they normally take in their stupid blue army, because the idiots always play Ultramarines, I think, and rush out to get those Saturnine Terminators. And they don't even got to be a lot better, just slightly better. And I'm all like, nah, I've already painted all these Terminators. Right? You heard what I said, though, right, Leth?
Yeah.
I've already painted these Terminators. I'll be damned if I'm painting them again. It's not happening. You know, I mean, that's just my opinion on it.
But isn't that the most fun part, is to paint them?
No. Guys, we hang out and I talk to you guys and you watch me paint shit all the time. I don't like painting. I like building models. I love building model kits.
I'd probably rather build than paint, to be fair.
Painting, but I love playing. But I don't like playing with unpainted
models.
So remember, I've told you this story, Leth, how I one day woke up and decided not to give a shit about my paint jobs. I don't know if you remember me telling you that or not.
I do.
And after I woke up and decided I'm just not going to give a shit about how well my miniatures are painted, I'm not competing with anyone else. I'm just putting paint on my shit. And as long as I like it, that's all that matters. I actually started getting miniatures painted. And a lot of people, when they see my minis, they're like, damn, that looks really good. And I'm like, well, thanks, you know? And they're like, well, you know, what did you do? And I said, well, I just stopped giving a shit. That's basically it. I woke up, I decided I'm tired of trying to compete with other people because then I'm just not getting anything done. So I just said, yeah, I don't give a shit anymore. All I got to do is put the colors on and put a wash on it and call it a day. Floor hammer, towel broadsides. Blah. Don't talk to me about your towel. Well, there was a period when the Assassins had their own book, and yeah, they were pretty rough. They were pretty rough. I always liked the Vindicare, but to be honest, I think the one that could change its face and do all the psychic shit might have been the deadlier one, the Caluxus or whatever.
You know what, James? The Brotherhood of Nod could take on the Tau.
Actually, tech-wise, probably.
Wow.
I mean, well, okay, you got the giant mech robots, and I don't know though. The Tau got that gigantic warship. I mean, that thing is massive. That thing is like, just forget about it. You know what I'm saying? But I have to admit, I'm one of those stodgy old guys that never liked the towel. Even though my nephew, that's what he plays, and we use one page rules. And yeah, I just never liked the towel. I never thought they fit in 40K. Still don't. Still don't. Because I mean, if the towel existed,
I'll be right back. I gotta go get a blizzard.
go get your lizard, man.
Blizzard, not lizard.
Lizard. Blizzard. Okay. Cruder, here's the problem with the towel, right? If they actually existed in the Warhammer universe, you would have, well, it already kind of happened, but it would have happened much, much worse. The Dark Elder would just be turning them all into fleshlights, and chaos would just be running amok on their ass, and there's nothing they could do about it. I mean, yeah, they're pretty strong, but what? They got 4 worlds versus the Eye of Terror? No, they're done. Get out of here, you know? So it's like, you know, you would have someone like Huron, whatever the hell his name is, the leader of the Astral Claws, decide to just roll into that region and just start stomping the shit out of blue aliens. And that'd be the end of that, you know? Let alone, I mean, and I'm talking like a minor warlord. I'm not even bringing up like Abaddon or some shit like that. Never played tabletop Warhammer 40K, but Necrons, yeah. The original Necrons look just like, the metal ones look just like the Terminator. I have a huge Necron army. I really don't care for it to play it. Orcs, on the other hand, are hilarious to play. Orc players, I have a lot of respect for because, yes, you can build really competitive orc armies, but at the end of the day, orc armies are just going to be fun. You know what I mean? And I like that, you know? I like the fact that, like, the orc player, when you run into an orc player at a comic shop, most of the time he's not, you know, one of these like super serial freaking, he's not a jerk, basically, you know, because I think there's a certain personality, a certain sense of humor you got to have to play orcs, you know? It's just like, yeah. I mean, to enjoy it anyway. I'm sure you can play them and just, you know, whatever. But if you want to actually enjoy the thing, then yeah, you got to have a certain kind of, you know, je ne quoi. I love the orcs. Giant green soccer hooligans. You know, their logic is the best. You know, orcs never lose because if we win, we win. If we run away, we didn't lose because we ran away. And if you kill us, we didn't lose either because we're dead. So it's like orcs never lose. So yeah. There was a time, guys, during second, third, fourth, fifth edition when Warhammer 40K was an absolute blast. Or maybe it was just I was that age, you know? But the game didn't take itself so serious. It wasn't as expensive, you know? Even by the old economy, it wasn't that expensive. It's like you could get a box of 10 tactical Marines for like, I don't know, $19 or something. And they were all 100% customizable. Every single part was made to fit on every other single part, you know? So you had your tactical Marines. You could literally just build them however you want, you know? They were all like Mark 7 Marines. but they would throw in a couple beaky faces and stuff so you could make some Mark 6s. When I painted up my Lamenter's army, I traded, begged, and borrowed from everyone I knew to get as many beakies and knobby freaking shoulder pads as possible, because I wanted my Lamenters to be wearing the old stuff. And then I sold that army. And unfortunately, if they carry, I think they loosened up on the 3D printing thing, because there for a while they were like, if there's any 3D printed stuff, it can't be used in tourneys. Did I not do this? I thought I did this. And that would have sucked for the guy who bought the army from me. He got a great deal from it too, because all of the shoulder pads on the right shoulder, because left shoulder was the stud, so the chapter symbol was moved to the right, were 3D printed Lamenter's shoulder pads. So the checker and the heart and the circle and all that were already engraved into it, which actually made it easier to paint them bastards up. But only negative thing about Horus Heresy, in my opinion, is I can't play Lamenters. Otherwise, yeah. I mean, I've painted so much red, though, guys, that it's like, I'm just like, ugh, really? How much more red can one person be expected to paint? Like right down here in this drawer, I've got a shit ton of breachers, assault marines, terminators. This is part of the army I use when I'm playing against my nephew. Like this is, I think, a Tartaran Terminator with a freaking auto cannon. Pop, 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 pop. You know, getting down. And then I've got some of the special jump troops, the ones that have the weird grenade launchers and shit like that, the Seraphim's Kiss or whatever they're called. But with these, I did some 3D printing stuff too. Like I found I love Volkites. So this guy is a breacher. You see, he's got his shield. He's a breacher, but he's got his Volkite, and he's wearing Mark III armor, but he's got the Blood Angel specific helmet, the one that's kind of, well, if you see the art, you recognize that helmet, right? And then I 3D printed the tactical arrow to put on that shoulder. I need to paint it. And it has the number 9 in it in Roman numerals. And then I just put mud on the base. I could probably put some tufts on or something, you know. But here is my assault marines, and these guys are Mark IV. And I agree with the Holy Diver. They need more Mark IV because the Mark IV, they're now looking a little squat and stubby compared to some of the other stuff. And that's no bueno, you know. But my whole army is mostly, thanks to my wife, my entire army is mostly Crusade or Mark III. Like there's a standard Marine, nothing special about him. Standard Marine, waiting for his transfers to go on. Yeah, nothing special. I take these guys in units of 20 because that's the way I like to play. I like to play where I build these like hordes of infantry. Oh man, this guy, his power sword or whatever broke off. I'll have to find it, but yeah, this is a Mark V Heresy armor guy, and he's got the old school jump pack, and he's got a Volkite pistol and a chain sword. He is apparently a sergeant, but his freaking sword snapped off, so I'll have to find it and fix it. GM Cody, what is going on, brother? Yeah, 4th edition, 5th edition, the old codexes. It was just really cool. When the thing that turned me off of Warhammer entirely is the command points, because I hate them. I hate command points. You know, there was a period, I think it was 9th edition. You show up at the game table to play a tourney with your friends. Everyone is playing Castellan knights and some combination of characters that generate command points. And they're cheesing the system where they're like, well, this guy and this guy and this guy create this many command points. And now I'm spending a command point on my Castellan knight, which means that it can fire all of its weapons and everything as if it had no damage on it at all, which means, you know, maximum efficiency. And then the one or two Castilians, sometimes two, would just stomp all over everybody's face. And what was even worse is that was just the army almost everyone played. So, you know, if you showed up to play a game and you got to play, say, you're going to play 3 or 4 games in this tourney, almost every single game was going to be 3 or 4 games against the exact same army, basically. You know, it was just like, this is so freaking lame. And they didn't fix it. It just got stupider with 10th. They had me really excited with the release of the old world. And then they released the old world, and I immediately become less excited. Fair. Because one thing is, how you going to play the old world with no dark elves? I mean, that's crazy. And they're like, well, you know, they'll have like an army list, but not an actual, we're not going to support them. It's like, you're not going to support the dark elves? The hell is wrong with you? And then they started releasing all the Imperial soldiers, and they were all like fat and stupid looking, and half of them were women and shit. And it's just like, yeah, that don't really look like a medieval Holy Roman Empire army, you know? I don't know what you're trying to do here, but that ain't it. You need to, you know, put that crack pipe down. Yeah, Cody, I agree. Now, Horus Heresy does fix some things, but I think peak Warhammer 40K is probably 3rd or 4th edition. It was just, you know. So how you doing, Bear? Oh, he must be snuggling a cat. Like you know, orc shock cannons, which they brought back, but they're not as fun as they used to be, and the orc catapult that shot the basket full of flesh-eating wasps. That was funny. You know? I mean, just seemed like back then it was more about fun. You know, you showed up, you had a good time, you know, whatever. And something ruined it. Now, Battletech for me was never about fun. Battletech for me was always about math, probability, and whipping the shit out of my brother. That was the three things. And actually, you could say two things because you could drop math and just say probability. Yep. Figuring out probability and whipping Haas's ass. That was all it was. Battletech, that's what it was. Bear says, I don't know what Bear says.
Bear says, peace, love, and geek.
Well, I agree with most of that. Yeah. Why not? I mean, you know.
What do you mean most of? So you're against peace? You're against love? You're against being a geek?
No,
Which one
I
of those
agree with all of it.
Exactly.
I mean, not really anything standing out that I could be opposed to. I think that's what I miss the most, though, about that particular company is when they originally came out, they were just all about, hey, let's make fun, weird shit, and then we'll throw it on the table, and weird, wacky shit will happen.
Okay, what company?
Games Workshop. Like back when you had like void grenades that you could chuck a void grenade on the table and it destroyed anything it touched, but it moved randomly for 1d6 rounds. So if your Marine commander threw that void grenade down, you better hope it don't run through your freaking own lines because it could, you know? And the orcs shot catapults with baskets full of flesh-eating wasps. And it was just weird, but it was cool, you know? And then you had a whole army, which I still have about half of it, of squats, and they were all bikers. They're all like trucking around on trikes and shit. And they were all like wearing, you know, biker helmets with goggles and shit. And it was like, yeah, of course it made no sense, but that wasn't the point, you know? It was goofy. It was funny. Oh, a bit of your collector. Yeah, exactly. The Vampire Coast and all that. And they just, no, the thing that Jose was telling me about and I looked into, and then Holy Diver on his channel mentioned it too, was that Games Workshop tried to slide a lawsuit through to sue a bunch of YouTube creators for the use of the word Warhammer. And one of them is someone you knew, I think. No Guts, No Galaxy, Tex. You know, those guys, I think, got caught up in it. And by I think, I saw the thing where he said he did. Now, they dropped it because eventually someone at Games Workshop realized they were being retarded. But, you know, it's like, you're not allowed to use Warhammer. Baltech's like, hold my beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've been using that Warhammer since before you existed. You know, it's like, but so yeah, that thing we were talking about the other night about the Baltech thing, that's a real thing. That happened. And they did it in such a way that they didn't have to send you a notice or anything. All they had to do is advise you by email. And they were suing like scores of people all at the same time. You know what I mean? But all the Baltech creators, from what No Guts, No Galaxy said, like all of the guys that were Baltech guys, their names somehow mysteriously vanished off the list of people who were being sued because apparently, you know, one of the lawyers at Wizards of the Coast was like, wait a minute. We're getting ready to get hosed over here. We're going to get cooked. And so there's that. So that's good. That's good.
Got your game tonight?
We do.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. in a little bit, I got a couple things to do. My wife is making a delicious chicken and vegetable casserole, hot plate type thing, and we will pick up where we left off, which was in the room with all the margoyles on the northern side of the greater caverns, you know, in the Lost Tomb. They'll remember. I remember too. I took notes. So, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Either way, it'll be fun, I hope. And the good thing is, it's like I should take like the characters from the back of the adventure and like write them down on character sheets just in case. You know, just in case. But yeah. And I figured the 3D printer, actually, it was never the 3D printer, it was the resin. The resin I'm using, because it's a water rinsable, extra tough resin, has to have an exposure time of minimum 5 seconds up to 8. So the machine was set for an exposure time of 2 seconds. So the resin would either not stick to the build plate or just like print the first 3 layers and then fall down. It was because the resin wasn't actually being cured. Oh, yay. So I adjusted the exposure time, and now it's cooking right along. And yep. Mostly I'm just printing terrain because I have enough miniatures, you know. So I'm printing like little dungeon dressing type things like braziers and sacrificial tables and you know, walkways and stuff like that. I mean, the walls, the way I do walls, I think I have one on the table, is I just have like a bunch of these and I only mark corners out. So, you know, I don't get like, I don't do a whole big room. I'll just be like, here's corners. And then I'll put pillars in and I'll put a door down. And I mean, I didn't invent it. That was Professor Dungeon Master who talked about that. And I guess he based it on the old Adam West Batman. The fact that the sets never had more than you absolutely needed to get across what was going on. And so I started doing that, and it works out really well.
Cool.
Out for the day. Forget if you are in chat to leave a like. Oh, hey, yeah. Catch you later, Angry GM. I'm glad I got to see your show because, of course, you do your show at like the butt crack of every Sunday in the morning, which is cool. And we'll have to BS around about GW and freaking Warhammer and all of that stuff at some point. But take care, man. Be careful on those mountain roads. This is a weird time of year out west. Everything freezes, then thaws, then freezes, then thaws. But yeah. Been a weird I mean, between the city kind of near where my parents live got demolished by tornadoes. And then there were tornadoes in Chicago. It's like Just all hell's breaking loose around here, you know? The British dudes. Yeah, well, yeah, you talk a lot of Warhammer, and so I know those British dudes got to pop in for that. So that makes sense, actually. Oh, the baby. Look at him. He's just like, love me, daddy. Love me, daddy.
He's been annoying.
He's like, I'm never annoying. I need to be loved.
Yeah, he's never annoying. Yeah.
That's what he thinks. He don't think he's ever annoying. He thinks he's freaking awesome.
He thinks he's a handsome little prince. Look at him.
He does. Oh, he did. He's doing the eye squints.
Mm-hmm.
That means he's really happy. You know, he's giving you
the best part about him like this is he's calm, he's quiet, he's about to fall asleep. And then the earthquake happens. Oh no.
He doesn't look concerned.
He doesn't give a shit. He does not give a shit if I do this.
Yeah, he's like, whatever, dude.
Huh.
He's like, you know, whatever.
Anyway, what's the gaming politics you're doing hot takes on? That's what I came here for.
Oh, gaming and politics. I should put up. No, the politics was Comey should go to prison not for putting the shells down, but for lying about it.
I agree.
Because he's insulting everyone's. It's like, we all know what that meant. So even if you don't want to put him in jail for putting it down, that asshole should go to jail just for trying to act like we're all idiots.
Actually, though, I do have to say this because I said this to my friend yesterday, the day before. I said, on the one hand, yeah, come on, dude, you're clearly lying. On the other hand, you were one of the worst FBI directors ever, so this kind of would explain that too. Like how dumb you are, you know, like completely out of touch with everything.
Which is apparently very, you know.
But yeah, your country's in a fucking shit state. Mine's not much better. I was talking to my editor on Heroic this morning. We had a meeting. He's English. And we were just laughing about how my current prime minister used to sign the banknotes in his country. And I'm like, well, he used to sign the banknotes in my country too. And now he's the prime minister. Aren't we fucking lucky?
In other super interesting news that I heard for the first time about last night as I was trying to go to sleep, apparently like a third of Pakistan decided they're just going to be their own country now.
What?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, it's Baklandistan or some shit like this. They got their own flag. They got their own national anthem. They really, really hate Pakistan. Because I was watching an Indian news interview, and this guy was talking about how the president of Pakistan or some shit had sex with his own sister, and they're a bunch of scumbags, and you know, like all this shit. You know what I mean? He's talking about how America should stop giving weapons to Ukraine and give them to them instead. Because, you know, I mean, this guy was just, and he had one of those weird hats that looks like, curtains opening in the front. It's like a flat hat, and the front looks like curtains being opened.
I have no idea.
Apparently, it's a Pashtun thing or whatever.
Okay.
But they were an independent country, I guess, back in the 40s or 50s or some shit during the original partition. And Pakistan invaded them and conquered them. And now all of a sudden they're like, nah, fuck you guys. We're back. And they're mostly Hindus.
Balochistan.
Yeah, Balochistan. And it's like a third of Pakistan. It just is like, nah, bye. It's like, holy shit. You know, the Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. Yeah. That you know.
So the Times of India, after Balochistan, freedom calls grow in Sindh as protesters slam Pakistan's human rights violations. So it looks like everybody's trying to get the fuck out of Pakistan right now.
Bach. Yeah, Bach was a musical genius. I agree.
all these provinces of Pakistan are like, we're about to get our asses kicked hardcore by India. Fuck you, we're out.
Yeah, he was. I mean, watching him on the news, like Nuxenor was watching the guy being interviewed by Indian news, and they were just like, they were saying things you could never get away with saying about any other country in the West. They were straight up calling the Pakistanis a bunch of like faithless dogs who have incest with their sisters. I mean, on actual live broadcast news, these guys are going off, man.
Who the hell's Nutsenor?
Nuxenor is a blue vampire guy that is most famous recently for his How Effed is Hassan Piker, which I believe he's up to 490% effed.
How do you spell his name?
Nux Enor, I think.
Nuxenor. Never heard of this guy. Oh, there he is. Oh, that guy. Yeah, I've seen this fucking idiot. Yeah.
Right now, his favorite vendetta is Hassan Piker.
Oh.
He's like super in hate with Hassan Piker.
Huh. Johnny Somali is 900% fucked.
He is looking at 31 years in Korean prison.
Good.
Yeah. He's I don't think Nux is wrong. That dude is like 900% cooked. And for some reason, the guy Hank that's been his friend is starting to get mad at him because he's an idiot, you know? But those guys that travel around the world to annoy people, they're not having a good time because that one Russian guy that went to the Philippines, he ended up getting 5 years.
Yep.
You know? So, see, Johnny, I don't know what it was with Johnny Somali, but he managed to get kicked out of Japan. They didn't throw him in jail. They just took his passport and kicked him out of Japan. So he went to Israel and did a bunch of crazy shit in Israel, and they just kicked him out. And then he went to Korea and did some tremendously horrible shit you should never do in Korea. Nope. They didn't kick him out. They took his passport and said, no, you're going on trial.
Yeah.
And apparently one of the big things that he's getting nailed for is he made a deep fake of a Korean woman engaged in porno stuff.
Yeah.
And South Korea takes that shit super, super seriously. As I guess you should, right? And he did it twice. And like each one of those is like 10 years right off the bat, you know? And then the fact that he disrespected the pleasure woman statues and all that shit. Yeah. It's like, you can't even feel bad for him. Because it's like, how can you be that dumb? And not only that, disrespectful, man. It's like he knew what those statues represented. You know, that'd be like going to Auschwitz and like, I don't know, peeing on stuff or something. It's just like.
No, that would be like going to Auschwitz dressed as a fucking SS member and goose stepping everywhere.
Yeah, that's just, don't do that. No. Regardless of how you might politically feel about anything, there's some things you don't do because it's just like, not just what the British would say back in the age of conquest, just poor form. Poor form, old chap. Poor form. Right. Yep. So don't rub a pleasure woman statue down with India and start grinding on it, because then some special forces Korean guy is going to catch you outside a hospital, beat the brakes out of you, off of you. But
what do you
surprised about India's military? You know, India, it's weird because they're one of the most powerful countries on the planet, and yet they're also like sleepers. It's like you never hear people talking shit. You know, it's always like the usual suspects: Iran, Israel, Palestine, whatever, right? Meanwhile, India's over there with 1 point something billion people sending probes to the moon, shooting shit at asteroids, building all kinds of crazy shit. You know, it's like, I mean, I think in the West we talk shit about India because they poop in the street. But just because sometimes they poop in the street don't mean they're not cranking shit out in factories, you know? I mean, two things can be true. And one thing my wife showed me last night is they think the Chinese lied heavily about the casualty rates they've had, you know, over the last couple of years.
Mm.
Their population might be closer to 700 million. And I was just like, well, you know, that is a country where if you piss them off, you just vanish into a rice paddy somewhere. So, I mean, you know, the last time they did a big purge, it was like 100 million people or something. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on if, you know, but so India drastically outnumbers every other country. And their technology is catching up with a lot of countries.
The Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, tweeted out, "Brother India, you punished Pakistan. Please punish Azerbaijan and Turkey too."
I'm telling you.
Stop it. Look.
Those guys over there, they're
just lay down and go to sleep. Jeez.
They're definitely on their own time. They're just doing whatever. Oh. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like the Pakistani were bragging about shooting down all those Indian aircrafts, and it turned out it was like some shit they cooked up in the Arma game. Like whatever, you know. But the thing that happened the other day though about the whole Baklanistan thing or whatever, that was like nuts. That come out of nowhere. It's like everything's cool, and all of a sudden, like a third of Pakistan's like, yeah, get fucked, you know.
Yeah.
And apparently they've started running the Pakistani army out, and their current leader was saying that they have 1 million firearms and weapons and shit that the Pakistanis gave them as they were leaving, and that they are willing to fight Pakistan for their independence. So, and in the news coverage, the one guy was like, America, Western countries, you will note that not ever at any time has any member of Baklanistan ever committed terrorist acts anywhere in the world in the name of Allah. You know what I mean? Dude says this shit on the air. He's just like throwing it out there. He's like, we don't do that shit. Help us out over here, you know?
I'll be right back.
All right. It's pretty hilarious, though. So you guys in chat, if you haven't been keeping up on Baklanistan or whatever, that's some wild ass shit going on. Yeah, they're mostly Hindi and Sikh, and they just want to not be part of Pakistan. They're over it. You know, they feel like, according to their leader, I don't know how true any of this is, but according to the guy that they were interviewing, Pakistan conquered them and they never liked it. And now they're like, hey, get F Pakistan. We're not down with all this shit. And that's just kind of what's happening, you know? No. And they're talking about opening up embassies in Mumbai and Delhi, and you know, and how the Indians should be helping them because, you know, whatever, and how the West should help them because they've never did any terrorist stuff. You know, like, and also because they don't believe in incest with your own sister. Dude brought that shit up like 7 times. Like he was going after the leader of Pakistan, like on the incest angle, like nonstop. It was crazy. But apparently Pakistan is the most inbred country on the planet. So, you know, I don't know why, but you know, because you'd think, I mean, it's a country, it's got millions and millions of people. You'd think you could find somebody that's, but of course, Nux did do the thing he always does, which is every time he says India, he shows a picture of Canada. And every time he says Pakistan, he shows a picture of Great Britain. He's like, so he'll be like India and Pakistan, and it'll be Canada, Great Britain, or get going to war over whatever, you know. It's like, okay, I guess that's funny. I don't know. But yeah. But I would say, Bear, you might like some of his stuff.
I've seen this stuff before. He goes on.
But you might get bored of it pretty quick.
That's the thing. Like, I've seen some of his stuff, and it's like, make your point faster, please. Like, he just
some
goes
of his videos
on
are like an
and
hour
on.
plus long about the
his
same
stuff
exact
goes
thing.
forever.
And it's like, okay, look, we get it. Hassan Piker's a scumbag. Everybody knows that.
Oh.
But you've literally made 20 videos. Each one of them's an hour long, describing how much of a scumbag Hassan Piker is. And it's like, but the thing is that we all know he's a scumbag. You're not educating anyone. We're all aware, you know?
Well, he's a Nepo baby, right? He's just the non-Hollywood version of a Nepo baby, right? His family has money. He grew up with money. He's used to having money. And it's amazing how when you don't have to work for a living and you don't have to worry about where your next meal comes from, you become communist and idiotic a lot faster than people who actually have to work for a living. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't understand how that works, but hey, you know, I wasn't brought on the earth to get it, but it's like his dad and mom are apparently like millionaire/billionaires in Turkey. Yeah. His uncle is Chink Younger. The dude grew up taking fancy English saddle riding courses and all that sort of shit. Yeah. Then he comes to America and lives in a millions of dollars mansion, drives a car that's worth $500,000, and he's always wearing like Gucci and all that stuff, right? But then gets online and talks about communism. And the thing that really aggravates me about it is he has a following that takes him serious. And recently he started attacking Asmongold, calling him Nazi gold or some shit like that. Why, I don't know, because Asmongold is actually pretty much a leftist. Like, he believes in social security nets and, you know, all that stuff, right? But I think Hassan is pissed off because Asmongold's the #1 guy on Twitch right now. So he's just trying to be a dick about it. But I'll tell you what, I stopped adding Twitch to my live streams. You notice how much more peaceful they are? Because I used to have Twitch. I don't do it anymore.
It's amazing when you don't open the door to the retard factory, less retards show up.
Yeah, because it's like I never have anyone just pop in and start talking crazy shit out of the blue. Well, rarely.
Hungar's here. You know. Hungar's in the chat, I should say.
Well, then I become yep, that is the verse from that's actually from Kanye's new song, which I looked up the lyrics. Yes, they're pretty effed up, but if you listen to the first part where he talks about they took away my kids, they doxed me, they took away most of my money, and you know, I still can't see my kids, and my wife's a slut, and all, like he goes through his, and they always misinterpret everything I say on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. And he says they call me a Nazi and blah, blah, blah. So then I did become the villain. which we talked about it the other day. I think you and I did. And it's like they went after him hard, and now they're surprised that he's becoming the thing they accused him of being. And it's like some people, that's how they handle it. You call them something, they just say, F it, I'm going to own it, you know? Now, I don't necessarily agree with him. And I think he might be going a little bit out in the weeds, but we all knew Kanye was a little crazy anyway. I mean, anyone who tries to act like Kanye wasn't a little bit touched is lying. We all knew. But apparently Kim Kardashian banging all these weirdos and not letting him see his kids, and him losing $3 billion in net worth in like no time at all. And, you know, everyone treating him like shit has not done a whole lot for his outlook on society. And surprisingly, it hasn't made him instantly become much more tolerant of other people. He's just doubling down on that shit. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of turkey, but you know, and I don't mean the freaking bird either. I hold a grudge against turkey. And if they want me to drop my grudge against them, all they have to do is go back to Asia and turn all of Cappadocia and Constantinople back over to the Greeks. And then perhaps we can elect or figure out who should be the new emperor of Eastern Rome, and then that would be awesome. But any of them that are willing to convert to Christianity can stay.
Any of who?
The Turks.
They're Christian Turks.
And they can stay. That's one thing I've ranted about. I think you've heard me rant about is Hassan Piker is constantly going off on colonialism. And I'm like, you're a Turk. You're like the worst colonialism. I mean, and I don't even disagree with colonialism because, hey, it happens. You know what I mean? It happens. One culture looks at another culture and says, they got some nice stuff over there. I'm going to go get it. You know, whatever. It happens. And being pissed off about it 1,000 years later, who cares? It's dumb, right? But if you are a group of people who came from northern China across the whole world and then took over all of Central Asia and tried to invade Western Europe and all this and that, shut the fuck up. I mean, really, you know? It's like you don't see Mongolians online being like, colonialism sucks. No, they're online being like, yeah, under the Great Khan, we whipped everybody's ass. And therefore, we're going to build a giant statue of the Great Khan. They're like, check that out. It's shiny bronze. That's right.
It's in the middle of a field. There's no city around it.
We're hanging out with our horses and yurts, wrestling and carrying on. And we're proud as hell of our shit. You know, but yeah, So do you
remember your buddy, the guy who used to hang out here every now and then named Raven?
Yeah.
Yeah. He sends me a message on Discord last week, and it was like, you got to stop hanging around James. The brain rot's real. And then said, and your new prime minister is not, he's fixing the problems in your country. To which I was just like, okay, welcome to my block list. You're a fucking moron. Like, you fucking, like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? One, I don't give a fuck who you are. You don't tell me who to hang out with. Two, don't accuse me of having brain rot. Three, have you never sat around long enough to hear me push back on James for some of James's shit? Everyone else has. That's what I do.
I think he wasn't saying you had brain rot.
He was complaining because I was going off on the boomers and the great boomers.
And that I could be like a negative influence on you.
No, he felt I had brain rot. And it was because I literally had spent that large part of that chat you and I were having that day going off about how the fucking boomer die-off is coming and I can't wait for it because maybe we'll get some realistic politics happening again. Right.
When they stop. Oh, yeah. You should have heard these assholes the other day in Detroit or something singing instead of set my people or let my people go, it was let my people stay. You know, singing like a bunch of freaking boomers standing outside an ICE facility singing the "When Moses was in Egypt's land," you know, and it's just like so cringe. It's like, you make my back hurt. I cringe so hard.
Anyway, fuck that guy, and fuck anyone who thinks they can tell me who I can hang out with and tells me I'm just fucking people.
Well, it goes to show he listens to the channel anyway.
Of course he does, because he's a hate watcher. But like, I was going to let it go, but it annoyed me, and it's been digging in my brain ever since it happened. I figured.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that.
Oh no, you have nothing to apologize for, James. Listen, you say some shit that I categorically disagree with.
Well, I like to tell people that I only speak for me.
Yeah.
The people around me don't necessarily agree with anything I say.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Yeah, you're going to corrupt us all, you scoundrels. Yeah, right? But that guy is really cool as long as all you talk about is Valtech. But if you get involved on anything else, he is very and it's not that he's a commie or anything that bothers me. It's that he's willfully ignorant. It's like he knows when something's not the way it is, but he'll try and tell you otherwise because it fits whatever the hell he's thinking, his agenda or whatever.
Well, I mean, for me, like I said, one, I don't appreciate being accused of having brain rot. Second of all, learn something about our fucking country before you beak off about what Mark Carney's going to do, because basically he said, hey, the new guy's going to fix all the problems in your country. Oh, really? The problems caused by the exact same political party that he was an advisor for the last 10 years? That's the guy that's going to fix the problem?
The new guy? Right. You mean the guy that was the boss of the other guy?
Like, what the fuck are you talking about? How stupid can you be? So it's just like, you know what? I have no interest in dealing with people like this anymore.
Well,
I come hang out here, James, because one, I like you. Two, I get to have conversations I can't have on my channel. And I can't have them on my channel because I've made my channel a very open and welcoming place for anyone to come and be nice to each other and not be, charged. So the minute politics or anything like that starts up in there's a bunch of people who are going to feel bad, and I don't want them to. So I don't do it on my channel. I try to avoid it. But here I get to do it. I get to let my hair down. Yeah, there you go. And you got a knife. I got a brush.
It's Moro, made in Sweden. One of the best camping knives you can get. No, I get it. Your channel is a lot more chill. Let's talk about gaming and good vibes. And my channel is a lot more like, let's hang out on the front porch and drink iced tea and talk shit.
Yeah.
Very good. It is what it is. And I respect that. So I would never go to your channel and start talking shit.
No, exactly. But at the same time,
but I do need to go to your channel more and actually, support you more. I know.
The thing is, for me, look, it just boils down to this.
It might be nice to go to a channel where we can just talk about games.
That's a nice thing. But I got a taco. I don't hang around people I don't like. It's that fucking simple. I have literally been on live streams where someone shows up who I don't care for, and I give it a minute or two so it doesn't look like I'm being a shit to them, and then I politely excuse myself from the conversation and head on out the door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen you do it.
Just the way it is, right?
Right.
And that's because I don't want to be making a song and dance. It's not about me. It's just me going, okay, this isn't for me. Be polite. Get out the door the right way so you don't offend anybody on your way out, even the people you don't like. But don't fucking tell me what to do. Don't presume you know what's best for me, you fuck. Well, I didn't say shit. It's not Raven McInnes. It's not our lovely witch Raven.
No, of course not. It's not our beautiful Raven, her little woo-woo witchy self. No, this is a guy that's been on my channel multiple times, and we've had great conversations about Valtech, but he has a tremendous amount of PDS mixed with an overblown opinion of his own intelligence versus everyone else's. And it makes it where he thinks he can tell other people what they should be doing or not doing, and and how wrong they are. You know what it reminds me of? The Tim Pool episode 3 days ago when he was trying to explain to the Adam Ruins Everything guy Trump's actual quotes. Because that Adam guy that was the out, and the guy's like, well, how would I know that? I don't hang out in your bubble. And Tim Pool started yelling. He's like, my bubble? He's like, it's the fucking news. How do you not know this? It's been 8 years. How do you not know it was a lie? Yeah. The guy's like, well, and it's like, yeah, he knew. And then he's talking all this shit about, I believe I should be able to say whatever I want. And Tim Pool's like, I'll pay you $50,000 right now if you go to England and start talking shit about Muslims. I said, 50 grand right now. Go to London, stand on a corner and start denigrating Islam. And the guy's like, well, I don't know anything about that. So how, and is like, dude, you're just being a coward because you know what would happen. Somebody'd take your head off with a box cutter.
So speaking of hot sauce, before we get too spicy, but spicy enough, there was my buddy got me a little package for Christmas of these little bottles of hot spice from Walmart. It was an assorted pack. Nice. Some of them were good, some of them were garbage, but there was this one. It was a smoking Jamaican hot sauce. It's the best. Well, you
like Jamaican stuff anyway,
dude. I put that on chicken wings, and I was blown away by how fucking good it was. I've been searching ever since. You can't buy it independently. It's only ever in these fucking gift sets. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
It's like, no, I want a big-ass bottle of this shit, man.
Yep. Yeah, but you're a big fan of jerk chicken and stuff like that.
Jerk chicken is delicious.
It is.
My boy, Irie.
I work with a bunch of Jamaican guys. Remember I told you here in America, since they can't get the Jamaican beer they like, they drink Guinness.
Yeah.
Because apparently it's as close to the beer they like.
Well, Red Stripe's really popular down there.
Yeah, but these guys are like, yeah, we drink a stout like this in Jamaica, and this is as close as Red Stripe. I've seen Red Stripe, though. You can go into some of the stores. You'll see Red Stripe. I had a friend who watched Adam Ruins Everything. He kind of went. Yeah, that guy, I mean, if you watch the, which I watched the Tim Pool thing secondarily, in that I was watching someone else and they had it on for a second. And I was just like, wow. You can tell that guy is being willfully ignorant to avoid having to face his own, whatever.
Well, did you see this on Rogan?
Yeah, Rogan ate him alive.
Yep.
I mean, that guy needs to stay off of other people's social media because he's just not good. Lee says he'd love to bump into us at a pub. Well, if you ever do, if somehow I ever end up in London, I am a huge fan of Black and Tans, and I'm also a huge fan of oh man, what is it? It's British Ale, Newcastle. I love me a nice ice cold Newcastle. I'll tell you that right now.
For me, it's a Tartan.
Tartan?
I used to go to this one Irish pub here in Montreal, and they had Tartan on tap. And ever since then, it's this one beer that I've just fallen in love with, but I can't get it anywhere here.
And of course, Lee, every day at any time is a good time for Strongbow. I mean, it's made out of cider. It's made out of apples, so it's got to be good for you.
It's a girl drink. Come
on. Long time no see. Dimple. Yeah, the problem with Tim Pool, Max, is that he tries way too hard to be neutral when sometimes you can't be neutral. Sometimes shit is so obvious that it's just like, yeah, Strongbow, yeah.
Strongbow is for
drink it room temperature. What do you know, though? You're a freaking dirty Quebecois.
Wow.
I mean, drink it. Room temperature for you where you live is like freezing.
Wow.
He lives pretty far up north. Last
No,
time
he doesn't. He
I
doesn't live
talked to
that
him,
far
I
north.
thought
And
he said
actually,
he moved out in the woods.
where he lives, they have milder winters than where I live.
Oh. I saw some crazy shit on Alone the other day. A newfie killed one of those grouse and then blew its stomach up and tied it, London, Canada, though, and then tied it up because apparently that's a Christmas thing they used to do.
I don't know what Noose do, man. Noose do their own thing.
Yeah, this guy's like when he can't say the TH sound at all.
Lord Tender and Johnny Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, like they literally like subtitle this guy. He's like tink and tonk and taka taka. And it's like what?
Kilkenny is delightful, Coco. I love Kilkenny.
Kilkenny's good. Kilkenny's good. I like Newcastle Brown Ale, but I used to hang out in a pub that was owned by a pair of English people, like from England. And so they had $5 for an English pint of Guinness. Now I'm a faggy Southerner. You come from the land of ice and snow?
Where the midnight sun and the hot winds blow.
Enter of the God will push our ships to new land. Max probably lived in the UK. No, well, he probably did. Max has been a lot.
He did. He did live in the UK.
And I'm glad to see you, Max. Even if I'm giving you a little bit of shit, it's all love, bro. But no, I like cold beer, man. But I live in a okay, it's 90 something degrees Fahrenheit right
You should
now.
put the link up, by the way, because it's been a long time since it's up. It's scrolled past for anybody who wants to join us.
Yeah, I could do that.
As much fun as it is just hanging out, you and I, there's some people that might be fun to come in and give us some perspectives on shit.
I don't know if I care about anyone else's perspective.
Oh, that's mean. You got the madman from the fucking Sudan in here. Come on.
But yeah, it's 96 degrees down here. I mean,
It's Florida, brother.
I don't want to drink anything room temperature. I mean, it's almost boiling. You know, I mean, shit. Right?
Ubisoft is from France. I thought they were.
They are from France, but I think they're breaking in half because of how effed up they've done recently with a lot of their games.
You know what I'm going to have for supper tonight? I'm going to have steak and eggs.
Hello, you reprobates or whatever.
What are you, high? What the fuck was that? What the fuck? Much mouth? Spit it out.
Hey, spit that penis out and talk next time.
I will never spit the penis out.
Get the lady cock out of your mouth.
Did live in France.
Days.
I think France would be awesome to visit as long as you didn't go anywhere near Paris.
Well, that seems to be the general consensus of everybody except the Germans.
Yeah, they're always wanting to go to Paris, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a weird
Hey,
thing
look,
with
a
them.
city full of bigger assholes than all of us. Let's go. We'll seem nice by comparison. Come on, Hans. Schnell.
No.
What's up, Hungar? How you doing, man?
I just living the dream.
Yeah, well, what is the dream?
It's a nightmare.
That's what I say at work whenever they say, how's everything going? I say, life's just a dream. Can't wait to wake up.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, Lee, but I recently found out that an English pint is actually bigger than an American pint. And they served English pint glasses. Now, I don't know how much bigger it is, but they had Guinness on tap. And, well, there's Hungar. Where's Leth? Leth was in there somewhere. There he is.
Left here? Oh, nice.
Yeah, he popped up.
Hey, left.
So it was. They had Guinness on tap, but they served it in the big English glasses. So it was really good. They also, specially just for us, made a pint-sized gin and tonic.
Jesus.
It was called a leg spread.
Jeez, well, that's not a leg spread. That's a fucking leg remover. Jesus.
I'd go there and drink about 4 of them.
It started because we were playing Baltec and somebody tried to seduce a tavern person, and they felt so bad that the waitress punched them in the head. And the player said, "It's called a leg spreader." And basically, then we went to the pub and we're like, "Can you make a gin and tonic, but in a pint glass?" Damn, Max, you've lost some weight.
Lost some, gained some. Always that
Max,
change
what's
season.
up, brother?
Not much. I have a bit of a sore throat today. What?
You have a sore throat?
A bit of a sore throat, yeah. I don't know why.
Oh my God.
Hey, Max.
Yeah.
Speaking of Canadian groups that cannot pronounce THs.
Yeah.
Hey, Max.
Yeah.
Do you know I used to be addicted to soap?
Addicted to soap.
Yeah. I'm clean now, though.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm just coming out of the shower, so my hair was all wet, right?
Yeah.
And I just like threw on a little shirt for you, so I don't come bare chest.
Do all of you guys look like what's his name from Bloodsport?
Jean-Claude
Uncle
Van
Van
Damme.
Damme.
So here's a fun thing. You know, you're talking about Pakistan was the most inbred country in the world. Well,
Yeah.
just wait till Quebec gets its independence, and it'll take that fucking title immediately. There was a genealogy study done of Quebecois, and they found out that 80% of the Quebecois can trace their ancestry to the same 10 families that came over from France in the old days.
10 families enough.
It's okay, though, as long as you throw an extra little bit of new blood in there every now
Well,
and
that's what
then.
the natives were for, right? All the women started fucking the native guys, and they got these beautiful half-breed babies out of it, right? So, all right.
That's what the Inuit and the Kikuks and shit like that in Alaska do.
Listen, I know you guys have been all around the world, and I know Mr. Max has as well, but he will tell you, I'm sure as well as I, there is no city that has more hotter women per capita than the city of Montreal. It is just fucking disturbing how hot the women are in this city.
They are
But they're
a
crazy.
city they are a city with a other woman per capita, but all those cities are in Quebec.
Yeah.
Quebec City.
Saguenay. Like up in the Saguenay, they're
Yeah,
insane.
if you go in Saguenay, it's gonna be insane, right?
Second A chicks are hot.
I heard it
Yeah.
was Sudbury.
What?
I heard it was Sudbury.
Sudbury? No, that's
No.
fuck no.
I heard
Sudbury's a
Sudbury
city that
had the
fucking-
highest per capita of hot chicks anywhere in the world.
No, they just mean they're on fire, dude. Ontario does not have hot chicks. There's no such thing as hot
Letterkenny.
chicks in Ontario.
And they don't they have potential. They don't fucking take care of themselves.
He's
don't know.
talking
Neil
about
Armstrong.
Letterkenny.
That was the running theme in the episode of what's his
Shoresy.
name? Shoresy.
So again, those are not indications of the truth in Canada any more than Trailer Park Boys is. Please.
But this
When
thing,
he
at
was
some point,
playing
I
for
had a buddy that didn't believe me, right? That woman in Saguenay was so hot, right? Proportionally. So I had to create a Twitter account, a Tinder account that was set in Saguenay, and then we went together swiping through women and say, "Oh, fuck, man, they're all fucking 8, 9, 10." So yeah.
Yeah.
What's
And
up,
think,
Doc?
what the fuck?
Yeah,
But I
but
was-
Japanese chick
this is-
Well, they're also fucking insane. Let's be honest. They're hot, but they're
crazy.
fucking insane.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay, I grew up in the middle, right? So I was English family living in a French town, French family, the whole nine yards, everything. And I grew up in the middle. And I can tell you, this is the one thing that anyone who lived in Quebec who is English learns without doubt. English girls, pardon the rudeness of what I'm going to say. I'll try and cloak it in terms that are more PC for your religious
Girls are
sensibilities
easy.
here on the the Lord's Day of Rest. You have to negotiate oral pleasure from an English.
Oh, yeah.
Quebecois girls, French girls, they do it like it's got the antidote in it.
Yeah,
Well, you know what they say about crazy chicks?
it's like a handshake for them.
Oh my god.
Grippy socks equals grippy box, baby. Give them a chance.
You guys are crazy.
But I have to say, Japanese chicks are the best chicks.
You're a weeb.
You're a total fucking
Yeah.
weeb.
I can't think of anywhere in America where I'm like, every chick there is hot.
Well, LA has a ridiculous amount of hot women in it because a lot of the hot women can, migrate there to try and get into the industries. So you can give it that. But again, just come visit my city.
They
You'll
also
see
like
them.
in like like also in LA, like it's a very superficial place, right? So
Yeah,
like
it's all
they,
6 foot blondes,
and they the women there, they're gonna try to look their best. They're gonna do
Yeah.
like and that counts for a lot, right? It's like a lot of women like live under their potential. Let's be honest, right? Just like there's
Dude,
bullshit.
So when I was in Vancouver back in the 90s, when I first went to Vancouver and I came back to Montreal, all my buddies are like, they're like, what are Vancouver chicks like? I said, well, they're like 30% less attractive with 80% more attitude. It's really weird. You can literally walk into a corner store in Montreal and some fucking smoke show is working behind the cash and has no idea she's a smoke show.
Nope.
Just none.
Yep.
It's amazing.
I like it.
My buddy, every spring, once the weather gets warm enough, like that first couple of weeks of warm weather, he's like, we're going for a drive. And we just drive around the city all day looking for all the chicks who are like, winter's over. Here are my tits. It's insane.
Oh yeah. You go fucking like have a little bit of a lunch in the park, like in Parc La Fontaine or some shit.
Oh yeah.
And if you go there at night, you can you can
Go
see
feed
people
the,
fucking in the bushes, right?
Is it La Fontaine or Delormier? Where's it where they have the big duck pond?
La Fontaine.
La Fontaine. Go to La Fontaine and just feed the ducks on a nice hot summer's day, and just your head will be like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I
But I'm an old man now.
worked with a guy whose last name was La Fontaine.
Oh yeah?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
was
think
he-
he
was
was
he French
French or
Canadian?
anything. He was a cowboy, but his
Doc,
name was La Fontaine.
Doc is surprised that Trailer Park Boys isn't a documentary.
Yeah, I thought it was.
That's like thinking Jersey Shore is a documentary.
It
It
is
pretty
for
much
those
is.
freaking idiot ass Jersey
Okay,
folks.
sorry. Hang on. That's like thinking the whatever Housewives of whatever is a documentary and not just a bunch of bullshit that they're doing for TV.
I get
Trailer
you.
Park Boy is set in the same region that Condor's from, right?
Yeah, it's in the
Scotia?
same city I was born in, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
I will
when
say
you live
that-
in Halifax, you refer to Dartmouth as Dark Side. My sister's
Well,
Yeah, I
from
Dartmouth
think
was
the
the
other
other
day
documentary.
I referred to Condor as Ricky from Trailer Park Boys.
You
I
did.
wish it was.
I mean,
That'd be an
because
improvement.
I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daryl, the biggest thing about American women now is
Attitude.
because
Their asses.
we don't fat shame anymore.
Yep.
So, all these people tell these freaking warthogs that they're hot,
Or Uggs.
and then they start believing it and see a chubby girl used to be cool to date because she was nice.
Well, yeah, they had to
Totally
try
nice.
harder.
And they tried harder. Now they don't. They think they don't have to because
like,
of
you
all
can
the
blame
bullshit
for that.
people tell them.
It's what they
You
call
know
like
who you can blame for
inflation, right?
that?
Hoflation, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody said that the average guy nowadays, pretty much anywhere in the world, Western world, has to work like 5 times as hard for a woman half as cool as his grandma
To be
was.
honest, also like I have a theory that the city tend to attract bad-looking guys and hot girl, and the rural place tend to attract or tend to have like more hot guys and bad-looking women. So there's a mismatch there going there, right? Just like all the hot women want to fucking go to the city, and all the guy that stay in the country, well, they work outside, they work hard, they're fit, right? So they all get like hotter.
Doc,
So there's this mismatch, right? It's terrible.
What
Yeah.
Doug just said is Polish girls can be cute, but they always have chipped teeth from their vibrators.
Oh, Jesus Christ! So a buddy of mine, so there was a Robin Hood show in the '90s that they were shooting in Lithuania right after the Soviet collapse and all that. And my buddy went over; he was the stunt coordinator on it. When he came back, I said, "So what was it like over?" He goes, "Man, the fucking Lithuanian chicks are hot and they love to fuck." I went, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, but they all got like shit dental and like horrible breath." And I'm like, "Oh, so that must have been bad." He goes, "No, man." Because you don't get rid of a Mercedes because there's a fucking cigarette burn on the seat. Holy fuck.
See, now it goes back to what I was saying about Asian chicks, Japanese chicks, Chinese chicks. The reason I'm more attracted to them than other girls is not because of the way they look, but their mentality. They have a
you have
more
rounder asses than them, so you feel less threatened.
they have a more not 1940s because they were pretty much just burnt crisp, but you know what I mean.
More traditional, yeah, but like
More
they're
traditional
less
mentality.
they're less busty, but that's changing quick too.
I'm
Yeah.
fine with the
They
chicks
still,
and
like,
girls
no
wanna
matter
be
how
couple.
much that's changing, I
Perky
still
It
see
bees.
is.
Korean girls, Chinese girls, and Japanese girls on like various websites or whatever. They have no ass.
Yeah.
What happened? Did the ass fairy just never make it to Southeast Asia? Like right next to them, Indian girls, lots of ass. Like what the fuck?
Natural bees are fun, but perky bees stay firm.
I'm an amateur of small tits, to be honest.
Me too.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started. I had a friend of mine one time. He was like, I said, I don't see the point of big tits. He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you play with them for a few minutes or whatever, but you're going to be bored." He goes, you could tit fuck. And I went, "Yeah, because that's the secret for all women, that unknown erogenous zone right between their tits where they get to lie on their back and see this coming at them."
Exactly.
I don't know why
makes
you care
sense to
about
me.
what do you mean? Like, what do you care about the erogenous zone of women?
We're done with that.
But also, like, yeah,
Max.
that big tit, you can tit fuck her. Yeah, but if she doesn't, you can like ass fuck her. Like, what a fucking like. So what? Like, are you gonna? Do you want to fucking
Right,
like fuck her in the crease of between the knee and the calf? Like
Oh my god! Whoa!
what's the fucking point? Like,
Armpit
you don't have to
fucking.
rub your dick all over,
Armpit.
right?
That's right. Get that arm.
Yeah, in the armpit.
Gave me an elbow job. It was something else, man. Like what the
like,
fuck?
You just
what's so
ride the
special about
canyon.
it?
You put it in between her butt crack and squeeze their butt together.
Yeah. Get her.
There's
squat.
looks intrigued. He's like, really?
I know. I'm just trying to figure out how you do that in Japan.
You know what? Ain't worried about it.
And
The
right.
the last statistics I saw were saying that within the next 10 years, like 40 or 50% of women will be unmarried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Currently,
I
the
don't
Statistics
know.
that now, like in the USA.
There's something recent I heard. It's like 35% of women in Western society don't know how to cook.
Yeah,
At all.
isn't that weird?
Like at all.
Well,
Even
you
with
see,
it, yeah.
You see this.
Even if you're very generous in your interpretation of like knowing how to cook.
you see these guys going as like, why are you going after a girl with a low body count? Just because my woman had slept with 100 guys before she got with me. She chose me. You went after a girl who's only had one guy, you. So she had to settle for you. And I'm like, are you targeted?
Well, the copium flows, and they have to cope with the fact that they're the consolation.
I like what Daryl said. 10 years from now, people will be trying to get the rights to marry their Tesla bots and shit.
It's
like
like
you've seen the statistic now, like 1 in 12 women in America between the age of 18 and 24 has an OnlyFans account. OnlyFans account.
Oh no, there are. Was it 4 million OnlyFans accounts?
Yeah, it's insane.
Well, there's this one company who's trying to buy OnlyFans just to shut it down.
I hope they win.
Yeah.
I hope. I have heard that America leads the world at SRIs. I think it's called.
Yeah. Oh yeah. SSRI. There's 2 S.
For ladies.
What's SSRI?
the antidepressant and shit like that.
You lot are in the
Oh
gutter.
wow, I believe that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, blame Hungar for that shit. He
Hungar,
should-
why are you giving all these women fucking antidepressant pills?
They can't help it when that cut off the hunger from them.
It's in America, I believe it's
just a
1 in
weird
10.
thing, you know, that like so many of them are like
Bitches dig hunger.
all freaking jacked up on Xanax and shit.
Like the
you know?
SSRI thing.
Yeah.
I think the statistic is 1 in 10 people in America is on SSRI at any time. So 10% of, like at some point, like 10% of the population is on antidepressant. There might be something wrong with fucking society, right? Maybe we should try fixing society instead of like trying to drug people.
And what I say about those
25% of women are going to be prescribed SSRI during their life.
what I say about those chicks, I've said before, grippy socks equal grippy box.
I have talked plenty of shit about the space Mormons in my time. And you know who I'm talking about. It's the Tom Cruise Club.
Yeah.
But the one thing I can give them grace on is their pro-therapy and anti-SSRI. That's the one thing I can give them grace on, is that they're like, you know what, maybe before you put a bunch of pills in your body, go talk to someone.
I think also like the therapy, that the way therapy is done now, like there's some issue with that as well.
I've got to say about the space Mormons, it's working out really well for Tom Cruise because that dude is like ancient.
Suddenly the channel goes dead. There's no signal because
he's like,
we're in the space Mormons zone.
He's
internet.
very short too.
He's very short, but he's like in his 70s, jumping out of airplanes.
Isn't there like a thing that short people age slower?
I don't know.
Fuck you.
Are they like dogs? You know how like
I'll go personally attack
live a long time and big dogs don't live as long.
It's not an attack. I think if you look at the statistic, like the taller you are, the less likely you are to make it like in very old age. I think that's
thanks.
Well, I'm sorry. It's not me saying that cast a spell on you, right? Just like,
well, I didn't know. Now I know. When you think about this all the day, curse my height.
Mr. Max, when you gonna stop slacking with that 40 and jump up to 146,812D like me?
Oh, I'm tired of all this.
Well, yeah, that's the other point I was going to make before Hungar started talking, Doc, is the one downside is that they believe only in their type of therapy as opposed to actual therapy.
Yeah. And there was one last point I wanted to make about, like, we talk about a lot of like scoring women and shit like that. And one thing I want to say, I think like most women, the vast majority of women, if they make some effort, they can reach a 7. And once they reach that, like once they pass the threshold of a 7, like personality matters more than being an 8, a 9, or a 10, right? At some point, like you're good looking enough, then personality matters more.
Always check the hot to crazy chart.
No. There are no uncrazy women.
Well, that's why the chart always starts at 4.
The chart.
Yeah, the chart always starts on a 4.
Yeah. Always check the hot to crazy chart. That's why you do
says that if you run into a woman whose crazy level is below 4, but her hot level is above 6, it's a guy.
Look at fucking what the crafting gamer. No, like that's always something. Like I say, oh no, if she has like super hot and low level of crazy, she's a tranny. You say like, wait, you don't see the same tranny as I do because they're fucking high on the crazy and low on hotness. The one I see.
Yeah, but I don't think they're talking about American versions of that. I think they're talking about like Thai lady boys.
Yeah, or like the Brazilian she-male.
Yeah, the ones
that's the Roach Motel, man. You check in, but you don't check out because you thought you were fine, and then just you're in the hotel room, and suddenly Florenzia is shit.
Look at what Crafting Gamer is saying there, man. That's fucking brutal.
Well, I wonder if his therapist was a woman because the majority of them are women. Sadly, at the end of the day,
80% of people in this field are women, I believe. Yeah, that's how you know it's not a serious profession.
Damn, Crafting Gamer, that's crazy, man.
I don't believe in therapy. I believe that the best, most healthy thing to do is just push your feelings down and bottle them up.
I think if you're a man and you're feeling down, go pick a fight with nature. You know, that's the Moby Dick way.
Nobody wants to visit the rapist.
Nobody would.
Therapist.
What?
In
Yeah.
Dark Age of
The word
Camelot, there was
therapist,
an
if you break it
Australian
up to
guild.
THE, it says the rapist.
Oh yeah.
And there
Yep.
was an Australian guild in Dark Age of Camelot on my side of the server, and it was therapist, except they capitalized the T and the R. And eventually enough people complained that they had to change their name. So they changed their name to the Caners. Because apparently in Australia, if you cane somebody, it means you whipped them.
Yeah. Well, in England as well. Like it's like what you do to
So-
a schoolboy. You hit them with a cane. You whip
Listen,
them with
what
a
you
cane.
do to schoolboys is your own business, Mr. Max. Don't get James canceled, please.
but they were pretty cool guys. Hungar probably remembers a few of them. Zach was cool. They were like our midnight shift. Like we'd spend all evening fighting the other team for castles and shit. And then when it was time for us to go to bed, all the Aussies would be logging on. So you just give them like the pass on report. Like, oh, there's a lot of Albies hanging out around Krushan or whatever. And they'd be like, all right. and then you go to bed and they spend all night out there doing shit.
Quickly, so you reckon like there's a bunch of women from different nationality on stream having this exact conversation about us. I don't think there is.
They're not as smart as us.
No.
They don't have conversation.
Women hate each other. It's like I saw this little clip the other day.
Yeah.
And it's like two guys, they walk by each other the same way every day. On the third day, they're like, hey, what's up? Another one's like, hey, what's up? And they start hanging out. You know, they rob a bank together. He breaks his buddy out of jail. All this kind of shit. You know, and then there's two women walking by each other like for 6 months, and it's like, bitch, slut. You know, women don't like each other.
There's a lot of competition between women, right? Like,
Mhm.
And I'm the prize, bitches.
Try going to Russia. Try going to Russia where they outnumber the men. The women are in head. That's why like Russian women are always dressed like a fucking nine. I mean,
that's
I've been
you see
wanting to
Russian
visit
women, they
Russia.
dress well.
it's fucking annoying going to Russia nowadays. Like all the fucking they're
Yeah,
like
with the war and everything.
Yep.
You know.
just taking flights to get there. Like you have to go like to fucking like different place and
You gotta go to fucking Azerbaijan, take a train
Yeah.
to Georgia, and then get a flight to Moscow.
Right.
I've always wanted to visit Russia. They got that new Orthodox temple over there.
you know that in Canada now there's 108 men for 100 women, right?
Well, I'm out, so they can one less guy competing because I gave up. I'm done. I've literally been like a buddy of mine for the last 10, 15 years or so. He has money, not a lot, but he has money, like enough to not have to live on a job. He can just live off his earnings from his stock and all that type of stuff, and he does well for
You
himself.
talking about me?
No. And he got to a point where he just was like so tired of women and dating and all the bullshit that he just like every few months when he's feeling the urge, he hires a pro, gets it done, and he subscribes to the theory of I ain't paying you for the sex, I'm paying you to leave.
Yeah.
you know,
Like and especially like now, like
he's
you know, like,
happy.
you go to the like you meet a girl online or whatever in the bar. Before you're gonna sleep with her, you're gonna take her on a date, right? And then you have to pay for the date. It's gonna cost you nowadays. It's gonna cost you like $100, $150, $200, right? Like depend, like it goes up fast, right? Like, and then not only that, but then you have to spend like waste hours of your time talking to her, right? Listening to her, then be like you have to be on your game. It's exhausting. You have to pretend that you're interested in what she has to say, and then maybe you can have sex. Maybe it's gonna take a second date like that, right? Yeah, you might as well go fuck a pro.
Well, as you said, it goes up fast, but at least if she's Quebecois, she'll go down fast, so it'll all work out for you on that
Yeah.
day.
Hey, you know, if she go down on the first date, I only need one date.
There is no second date with hunger.
One day to do it.
There's a sometimes also you can like push her further, like do more stuff on repeat dates. So sometimes it's worth it, right? Having like prolonged relationship.
I have a buddy of mine I knew in college. He literally had this thing, which was after he slept with a chick, he was bored of her. and
Yeah.
never wanted to see her again. It was like a one time and done. I'm like, really? You don't want to? He's like, nah, I'm on to new. I want a new thing now.
I didn't
It's
know
just
we
like,
went
all
to
right,
the same
brother.
college, Bear.
What?
I didn't know we went to the same college.
You're a fucking dog.
But
As
No,
Dusty
well,
Rhodes
you know
used to
what?
say, you're the baddest dog in the pound, brother.
This is my issue that I had when I was younger. I'd get to talking to a chick, get to know her and stuff, and hang out with her, and then find out she was fucking stupid.
Go ahead,
And you were
Mr. Max.
surprised?
That's your opinion, Max.
What did you expect?
I would just tell him to hit the bricks.
And the bricks was the word you had tattooed on your cock.
That's right.
Like you know, you cannot judge them too severely, right? So it's okay, right? I don't mind if a woman is a bit dim, right? Just like that's all right. As long as she knows, right? What's annoying is when they think they're fucking smart and then they want to talk about, like, you know, I like women that are in astrology, right? I think that's a good hobby for women. It's a good place to put their mental energy to, right? Just like I'd much rather them be into astrology and think about that and talk about that than try to talk to me about politics or stuff that matters, right? It's like no, that's fine. Oh yeah, Bélier, like Aries and and Pisces.
Someone
Yeah,
said to
that's
me, they said astrology is like fantasy football for women or something like that. And I was
Yes.
like, wow,
who was Shu Another was saying like astrology is birth racism.
is what?
Birth racism.
What's weird about the astrology thing is if you get deep into like some of Carl Jung's stuff,
Yeah.
he goes into kind of sort of a like it's not astrology, but it seems like it.
Jungian theory is a little fucking woo-woo. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
like
the shadow, the ego, all that. Yeah, but then you got archetypes, and it's like if you're born in April, your archetype's the warrior. If you're born in January, it's the sage.
Like,
you know,
I think it goes a bit too far, but I like it. And I think it's interesting when you sometimes you look at art and stuff like that, like movies or stories and stuff like that, and you can recognize those patterns, shit like that. Like there's something there, right? Because there's a lot of ancient pattern that exists in human psyche, right?
I think it's all a bunch of commie bullshit.
You're just saying that.
No,
Sounds like a lot of commie gobbledygook to me.
Yeah.
But,
communist propaganda.
But guys, it's been about 2.5 hours. I gotta get out of here because I still have to mop a floor.
And I gotta make dinner. We got game tonight, right?
We do. So
Dinner's
What are you
about
playing
done
now
for
on
us,
Sunday?
so
be ready.
say ya.
See it.
What you playing now, James, on Sunday?
I'm running OSC advanced.
Oh, okay. Back to OSC.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Back to
All right.
shop.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Later, everybody. Good